we will here deep in how to determine criminal liability when an AI system is involved in the commission of a crime, investigating in particular the applicability of existing criminal principles and rules to new technologies. By definition, AI systems are designed by humans, but they are also capable of involving learning from the environment, like in the case of machine learning. Therefore, it would be too simplistic to consider them as a mere inanimate instrument for the realization of a crime. So, if an AI system is involved in the commission of a crime, the main questions are: can a machine be considered liable for a criminal offense? Who will be held criminally liable for the offense caused by the AI? The programmer of the software, its manufacturer, or its user? And if the AI system learns, how far comes human liability? Let's start from one of the fundamental principles of criminal law. Criminal liability is personal. This principle brings with it two of the pillars of criminal law, strictly connected one to the other. On the one hand, in order to hold criminally liable someone and to apply the resulting criminal penalties, the offense must be based on a psychological element of the author, in terms of willful misconduct, i.e. consciousness and will to cause the criminal offense, or negligence, imprudence, inexperience, i.e. violation of cautionary rules, but lack of will in causing the offense. On the other hand, only humans can be held responsible for criminal offenses. These pillars imply in turn that, differently from what happens in the field of civil law, there is no place for strict liability under criminal law. Machina delinquere non potest, which means to date the criminal justice systems do not provide for criminal liability of machines, since they do not have a consciousness that guides their actions. Let's make some examples to clarify the issues at hand. If a very sophisticated AI software is programmed to perform thousands of financial transactions per second, and the trader purposely misuses it to create a very rapid price fluctuation on financial markets, he commits the crime of abusive manipulation. In such cases, the AI is a mere technological instrument used to commit a crime. The criminal liability is clearly attributable entirely to a human person. Otherwise, it becomes more critical when humans' conduct strictly intersect with the activity of an AI system, since the crimes eventually committed result from choices, evaluation, balances that are no longer exclusively taken by the human person, but on the contrary are largely shared with the machine, if not entirely delegated to it. Now, if an offense with criminal relevance is committed, it is immediately evident how complicated it is in this case to establish who is to be held responsible. Let's take up the example of self-driving cars here. On a night in 2018 in Arizona, a self-driving car that was traveling on a high-speed road hit and killed a woman who suddenly crossed the street outside the crosswalk at a very dark point of the street. The car's safety system failed to recognize her in time. So, who will be held criminally liable for the offense caused by the AI? At the first sight, we would state the programmers and/or producers, as they failed to program such an event. However, this is far from easy. First of all, are we sure that there is absolutely no responsibility of the user? Shouldn't he have paid some attention anyway? And if so, how far? Now, in the case of self-driving cars, we can reasonably exclude any user responsibility. As it concerns programmers, instead, we have to consider all the mentioned environmental and not predictable circumstances, not least the fact that accident happened in an high-speed road where people were not supposed to cross. This case also brings in light another issue in determining criminal liabilities when AI is involved. In fact, once recognized the danger, in a split second the car would have had to make a choice: act in a way that would have saved the pedestrian's life or the passengers, but not both. In this perspective, we can touch on the moral dilemma, which impacts the programming of every advanced AI system grossly interacting with humans and having impact on their life. Studies have shown that there is no universal morality that can be adopted as a standard in the design of AI applications, and therefore guide in the identification of who should be held criminally liable. It has never happened in the history of mankind that a machine was assigned the responsibility of deciding who should live or die. As explained with regard to civil liability, the topic has fundamental implications in almost all the fields where AI technologies are applied. We just have to think about the health and medical surgical sector, where AI systems are increasingly used to support medicals in diagnosis and surgery, up to the point where medicals must rely on the outputs of AI machinery. Also in military and public safety field, drones and robots that take autonomous decisions about whether to intervene in certain situations and how to do it are increasingly used in law enforcement. Now, as already stressed, there are two key points. AI systems fail, make errors, as the parameters they are projected to take into account can be inaccurate, incomplete compared to the wide range of cases that real life offers. AI systems are often based on self-learning algorithms, whereby it self-determines on the basis of its own experience and interaction with the external environment, up to the possibility of even becoming more intelligent than humans. As said, this means that whoever designs, programs, or builds the system may not be able to predict or know in advance its reaction to the surrounding environment. So, if from a civil liability point of view, even if complicated, a solution can be found, for example in terms of strict liability of the operators, instead finding criteria to determine criminal liability is much more difficult, especially considering that criminal penalties have a gross impact on people's lives. In this view, the current criminal principles, paradigms and rules are not sufficient. Thus, criminalists push for more targeted law interventions to rethink the criminal system when AI is involved.